welcome everyone to our second module, the first segment of our second module. So today we're going to move on to the next module, which is accident and sickness. We have finished off with ethics, so you can go ahead and go back and look at those recordings, which cover all of the key topics for ethics. So today we're moving on with our first segment, and in our first segment, we're going to be looking at some of the key terms, and also we'll be looking at riders. So riders, there's a lot of riders that the book covers that can be added on for accident and sickness policies. So we'll split that up into a couple of different segments. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with some important terms, which always come in questions. So I always like to start off with important terms. So you know what they're asking when they ask those in the questions as well. So the first term that I want to take a look at is called taxable benefit. Now, this is a term that comes up many times in the book, and also almost 99.9% is going to come up on an exam question as well. So what does this mean? What is a taxable benefit? First of all, before we even get to that, what is accident and sickness, right? Very basic. So when we look at life insurance, which is our next module, you are securing that income that the individual brings in, or the economic value when you're giving life insurance. So same thing here with accident and sickness. You can't really assure someone that it's not going to happen, but this is going to try to secure the income that might be lost or depleted because of this, right? So that's what the purpose of this product is. So going back to your taxable benefit. Now, generally what we see when we have accident and sickness type of insurance, there are many employers that also offer this. And this is a way to also keep their employees loyal to the company and keep them from leaving. So by giving other plans, it's another way for employers to kind of retain their employees. So one of the plans that we see that employers generally give are accident and sickness plans, where they split the premium. So it benefits the employee as well. So rather than the employee paying the full premium, employer pays some and employee pays some. And this is where this term taxable benefit comes into place. So the taxable benefit is the part that the employer pays on your behalf. And then you're getting the benefit for that, right? You receive the benefit. So let's take a look at the one example, just to quickly show you what we mean. So let's say that $500 is our premium. Out of this $500, the employer is paying $300, and you're paying the remaining $200. So how much of this is a taxable benefit? So it's the portion that the employer pays. So the $300 is a taxable benefit to you. That means that it is going to show up on your T4, and it is a taxable benefit. Also, this $300 is also tax deductible for the employer. So they can deduct this from their taxes, saying that they had invested this into their company in order to make the employee stay longer, right? So it's a business investment for them. So whatever amount the employer is paying is a taxable benefit to the employee, and a tax deductible benefit for the employer. Generally, when we're looking at premiums, they are 50-50 split in majority of in the real life cases as well. We usually see right down the middle where employer would pay half and employee would pay half. So they usually do split in the middle as well. Now, what happens with that after when the benefit is coming? So when the benefit comes, if somebody is collecting a disability benefit, let's say, and they were part of a group plan, whatever is coming above their own premium. So let's say over the year they put in $3,000 of their own premium, and then the employer put in $3,000, and then now they're collecting a benefit. So from that benefit, the first $3,000 will be tax-free because that's the return of the premiums it's considered, and then the rest of it is going to be taxable income, right? So that is important as well, is that taxes do come in, and we'll take a look at that in the upcoming segments as how taxes kind of come into this. But I do want you to keep that in mind, that whatever the employer is paying, yes, it's helping the employee, but it is a taxable benefit. So it's not something that it's just done and over with, and they don't have to worry about it, right? So these are just some important terms. We'll add to this as well, but I'm just going to switch over in this segment. We're also going to start with riders. So we're just going to switch over for riders. So you can, we'll be switching that now. All right, so the next part of this segment, we're going to be starting to look at riders now. Riders, like I said, we have to just kind of split it down into 2 or 3 different segments. There are a lot of riders that the book talks about, but the good thing about this is a lot of them overlap with the next module that we're going to cover, which is life insurance. So they do have that overlap. So if you're familiar with them and you go over them now and we do it again and revise them in the 3rd module, they should hopefully be a little bit more familiar. All right, so first of all, what are riders? What is a purpose? So what all the riders do is they enhance the basic coverage. So kind of think about it like when you buy a car. You have a basic model of a car that you're buying, and you have a lot of upgrades based on your own individual needs, your own individual desires. You can add upgrades to your car. You can, customize it based on however you like. So riders are similar to that. You have basic coverage, and then you can add on riders based on your own individual needs, right? So it is very beneficial because it does add more without maybe adding another policy. Rather than having a separate full policy, you're just adding it on to your existing policy. All right, so let's take a look at some of the popular riders that we see in usually that people do choose, and even in exams, these are some of the ones that are more popular. So the first one, and again, almost 99.999%, you will have a question on this, very popular for exams, is the FPO. And what this stands for is future purchase option. It's also known as FIO, future income option, or GIO, guaranteed income option. So different names, same rider. So what does this mean? So this means that you are guaranteed to buy more in the future without insurability. When we say insurability, that means you are proving to the insurance company that you are insurable, that you are healthy and you can get insurance. So usually when you first get it, people, if they get it young, they're healthy and everything is good and they're able to get the product. But as time goes on, things might change and maybe the insurance company might deny some coverage because of a certain medical condition. So this is for someone who maybe can't get that much coverage right now, but they know that their needs are going to grow in the future. Maybe they're young right now, are not married, don't have a family, and in the future they're planning to have a family, maybe planning to expand their business. So they will need more. So they know that their future needs are going to grow, but at the moment they don't need that much. So they can add this rider, and by adding this rider onto their policy, they're ensuring that as they get older, even if their health changes, the insurance company cannot turn them down for increasing their coverage. It's guaranteed. Now, what's important to know with this rider is that the new coverage is going to be based on your attained age. Now, what is attained age? That means that if you originally bought your policy when you're 25, and let's say you want to exercise this rider when you're 40, so 15 years later, you want to use the rider. Now your new premium that you're paying is not going to be still based on when you were 25. It is going to be based on your current attained age, which would be 40. So that means that your cost definitely is going to go up, but regardless of any health conditions, they can't turn you down, right? So that's where that feature is that people really like. One of the things to know about this rider, one of the limitations, is that it falls off around age 50 to 55. Depending on which insurance company the policy is with, it might be around 50 or 55, but it's not a rider that will stay on in the long term, right? So if you use whatever you can by then, and that's it, it's going to fall off. All right. Now, one important rule to remember, and it doesn't apply just to future purchase option, it applies to all disability policies, is the 60% rule. And this rule means that your disability policy or the income that you're getting can be maximum 60% of your income. That's how much you can qualify for. It doesn't mean you have to get the full 60% if you don't need it, but that's the maximum that is allowed. So this is why it's important to remember that if somebody is not working, they cannot qualify because it's looking at income. So if there is no income, 60% of zero is still zero, right? So it's very important that we remember that, because many times on exams, they're able to trick you by saying that so-and-so is a stay-at-home mom and is applying for disability coverage and blah, blah, blah. So if the person is not working, just remember that they will not be able to get that coverage, right? And this is another reason why people add the future purchase option, because let's say right now their income might not be that high. Maybe they're just graduated or just started their career. So the income is very low, and they know in the future that their income is also going to increase. So the 60% will be based on the new income. So they can add that rider, then they can increase their coverage. All right. So that's future purchase option, and this rule applies to all disability policies and even to future purchase option. So even if you're exercising this rider, you still have to stay within that 60% rule. Okay. The next rider that we're going to talk about is COLA, C-O-L-A rider. And basically what this means, whenever you see the C-O-L-A COLA, which stands for cost of living adjustment rider, think about inflation, right? So this is for someone who wants to protect themselves against inflation. They're worried that the purchasing power is going to decrease over time, cost of living is going up. So they can add this rider onto their policy, and they can choose if they want simple interest or compounded interest, and then their benefit will increase based on that up to a certain amount, right? So they do cap it. But it is that it will be a flat amount, it will be increasing. And of course, your premium would be more as well. But it is for those people who are worried about inflation and cost of living. The third one that we're going to talk about in this segment is AD&D, which stands for accidental death and dismemberment. Now, this is a rider that can be added on a policy. So if somebody does pass away because of an accident, then they would get the full reimbursement. So it kind of acts like life insurance at that point. But let's say somebody's disabled because of an accident. What happens then? And important to remember here as well is that accident. So it does have to happen in that sort of situation as well. And if they are disabled because of an accident, then they would get, so the insurance companies have a table. Let's say if somebody loses an arm or loses a leg, so they will get a compensation based on their loss, right? And you don't need to know, you won't need to calculate how much they're getting or anything like that, but just know that it is based on whatever their loss is, they will get that benefit. What's important, however, to remember with the AD&D rider is that there is this limitation of 365 days. That means that from the time when the accident takes place, whatever that injury is, has to occur within that time. Otherwise, they won't relate the two. So if somebody has an accident and then that's a year, right? So 365 days, we're saying 1 year. Nothing really happens, they're fine in that year. And then a couple of months after the year has passed, maybe they're having some leg pain or some other pain. Even though it may be kind of related to the accident, but if it doesn't happen within this time, this rider won't apply, right? So that's kind of like that, that fine print for this rider is that time frame is there in order to exercise this rider as well. All right. Okay, so that's it for this segment. We're going to continue with riders in our next segment. So we'll join on in over there then.